You are listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. Thank you for downloading and subscribing. Coming to you virtually live from high atop the historic Raleigh building in beautiful downtown Raleigh. The NC F&B takes the listener behind the scenes to tell the stories of the people that contribute to the creation of the food and beverage community of North Carolina. And now, the misfits in the dish pit, the faces of the front. They are Max Trujillo and Matthew Weiss.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo. Today, we are going to speak with a numerous amount of chefs that are all competing in the 2019 NCRLA Chef Showdown. That is coming Monday, September 30th from 6 o'clock to 8:30 at Angus Barnes, Bay 7 in Durham, North Carolina. It's going to be so much fun. And leading up to it, we've had regional competitions all over the state to ultimately come down to a select few of chefs that are all vying for the title of the best chef in North Carolina. So, without further ado, we're going to start off with Kyle Teears, the executive sous chef at the Whiskey Kitchen, just around the corner from the old kitchen here where we record this podcast. From there, we'll move on and speak with other chefs in anticipation of the event. If you're looking for tickets, check our show notes and click the link on this episode, as well as go into our website or check any of our social media at NCFB Pod. And while you're doing something for yourself, do something for us. Will you write us a review on iTunes? iTunes is the best place for reviews to be written because that's the biggest audience, and the more reviews that you write, the more people can find us. The more reviews, the more visible we see. It's all that search engine stuff. So please write us a review, and hopefully it's positive, although if it's constructive, that could be cool too. Like, tell Max to shut his trap a little bit. I got it. Word, heard. We chef. On with the show. All right, well, with me for the 2019 NCRLA Chef Showdown is Executive Sous Chef of the Whiskey Kitchen, Mr. Kyle Teears. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. We did this great two-part episode on the Whiskey Kitchen a couple months ago, but we did not have anyone represent in the kitchen, so I am really excited to have you here because you are about to throw down at the Chef Showdown. So first off, let's get to know you a little bit and why we should be rooting for you, if at all. You're originally from Asheville, is that correct?
Yeah.
And how long had it taken you to finally make your way over to Raleigh? How long have you been here?
I've been in Raleigh for right about 2 years now. You know, I love Asheville. I miss the mountains every day. But I traveled around the southeast a little bit, kind of figuring out where I want to go to next. And it's funny, I'd never actually been to Raleigh before. And when I visited here, it just was like the place I wanted to be. You know, the food scene is still up and coming.
Yeah.
There's so many possibilities. For a city, it felt like a big town, which was a little more comfortable for me. So
it's a cool spot. We're happy to have you here. And so with that, what I guess for people that are going to be coming to the event, describe your cooking style. Like what makes you tick when you're in the kitchen?
I really like to draw from what Carolina cooking is, and a little bit more than just your typical like whole hog barbecue. Like we all love it. It's the kind of staple. You know, North Carolina does it best, obviously. But it was more than that. There's other dishes that aren't very well known that I feel like deserve the spotlight. Try to bring out some of these older dishes and cooking techniques and mindset and make them a little more, popular and people feel comfortable eating them.
Such as, give me a good example.
All right, so right now on our menu, we have two things that I'm really happy with. One is called Three Sisters Salad. So you've got, mirepoix and your Holy Trinity. These are staples, blends of three different vegetables. Well, in Carolina, the Cherokee Indians, they have one called Three Sisters, and it's corn, beans, and squash. And it's a wonderful combination of, vegetables. And so I turned that into, a salad and was using, mulberries when they were in season and stuff like that.
I've never heard of that before. So that's cool. So are you kind of a North Carolina food historian in a way?
I never thought of myself that way. When I was talking to servers, a couple of weeks ago and just, about different things and new menu items. And, one of them mentioned like, how do you know so much history about food? And I was like, well, this is my passion, as a chef, I don't want to just make dishes out of someone else's cookbook. Like it's part of my responsibility to really get into the nitty gritty and the history and where the food came from originally. And I think that it's important because then you're not just putting your heart and soul into it, you're understanding the people before you and what they were, doing. So it's more than just ingredients. It's also just a mentality of, this is that dish. This is its history.
I love that. How were you the one that got selected in here? You have a big team of chefs back there. Are you the most competitive of all of them?
I would say so, yes. And also there's a little bit of a desire for me to represent Raleigh. I'm not from here, but fell in love with this town and really wanted to kind of show up the rest of the state that have incredible food programs, kind of like, see what Raleigh can do.
Yeah.
And I am very competitive. And also it's just like, when someone reached out and I filled out the application and it said that I was accepted, it was like, all right, let's fucking get it.
I love it. Are you willing to give away a little bit of your secrets today and let us inside of what you may be preparing?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was some restrictions. I had a dish planned and I was told by the head honcho that I wasn't allowed to do it.
Ooh, controversy.
Right, which was a great little curveball at the last minute. But me and my sous chef that I'm working with, we pivoted real quickly and went with seafood, and that's not something I typically do because we're not on the coast. But I thought it was an opportunity because most people are probably going to be doing a pork base or maybe a beef base dish. How many are going to do seafood? So I went ahead and switched over to that. And then when I was thinking about it, I didn't want to do more common things. I like the oddballs. And so when I was picking a fish, I was like, let's go with cobia. And funny enough, its other name is prodigal son. Me being a chef and the line of work I do, my father is actually a Southern Baptist pastor. So there's a little bit of an inside humor joke when I was picking a fish named the prodigal son.
Nice. Have you been in competitions before? Is this new to you?
I have been in competitions before, not this one or this exact style. So there are a lot of new elements for sure. And then there's some that feel like I've done it before. Like, the thought process going into it is kind of like making a menu item, but then getting to the spot and executing within a short amount of time is like, how much of it is pre-done and prepped and planned, and then how much are you doing it on site, like a quick fire? So it's a combination that I haven't done before, which is really interesting.
It's going to be exciting. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you. Remember, everybody, if you are interested in going, remember, this is the 2019 NCRLA Chef Showdown. It's Monday, September 30th, the day after my birthday, from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Angus Barnes Bay 7 in Durham. So it's not Angus Barn, it's Bay 7 in Durham. I wonder if any chef will show up at the Angus Barn by accident. That would be interesting. Don't be that person.
Right.
Like, I'm here to make some food.
Yeah. Can I just set this over here?
Yeah. But well, that's great, man. Well, I look forward to seeing you there and meeting you in person as well. And we'll talk soon.
Sounds great.
I have with me today Miss Ty Whittaker, the pastry chef of Buttermilk Boutique in Clayton, North Carolina. Hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Excited to have you on. You're a new person on the show. We've interviewed everyone across the land in North Carolina, and we've yet to have you on, so we're excited. And specifically talking about sweets in the angle of the competition at the Chef Showdown. So let's get into it right there. I looked into your bio. It looked like you spent some time up in Boston. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. I moved there back in 2010 to get my master's degree in gastronomy from Boston University.
That's awesome, and not a common thing that I hear very often. A master's degree in gastronomy. What are you learning? Like, what did you learn with a master's in gastronomy?
So, a ton of things, but the short version is it's the study of food and culture. So I took classes ranging from food and anthropology, making pastillage, baking, culinary classes. That's where I actually got a lot of my training, at least a lot of the beginning of my training. I mean, a little bit of everything, learning about wedding cakes, learning about business adventures in food, and learning about the history of food. And so it was all comprehensive and a really great time. Met some really great people there. It was a program started by Shaq Pepin and Julia Child. And it's been a godsend, at least for me and for everyone else I went to school with.
I think I've heard of those two chefs before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please tell me that you're not a Patriots fan.
So I am a citizen of the world because my dad was in the Air Force. So I pick and choose, but I got to tell you, I do love me some Patriots. And that was even before I moved to Boston. I had a love for them back when I lived in Texas. So a little bit.
Well, that begs the question. You're in this competition for the NCRLA 2019 Chef Showdown. Are you going to cheat just like the Patriots cheat? Are you going to deflate? Are you going to dull some knives or maybe put some sugar where the salt was supposed to be? These are all tactics I know that Tom Brady would do if he was a chef in a competition.
No. We got skills over here to pay the bills. No need to cheat.
I kid. Now, in school, when you're learning, you got to figure out which road you're going to go down. You chose to go down the sweet route, right, rather than the savory, and kind of focused your efforts more on being a pastry chef. Like you said before, you mentioned wedding cakes. And from there, you've spent a lot of time designing and working for some prolific wedding cake designers, which is not an easy feat. I've watched Nailed It a few times. I know how bad that can be. But so where was that in your mindset when making that decision of kind of going more on the sweet side, on the dessert side?
Well, I mean, I come from a long line of bakers. So my great-grandmother and both grandmothers from my mother and my father's side were both avid bakers for the family as well as for the church. And so I really got my beginning there when I could reach the stove. And that's where my love of cakes and all things sweet came from. All the women in my family have a sweet tooth. So I'm just following the lineage.
So I believe you're squaring off against 5 contestants. You've got Gerald Hawkins at the Gaston Country Club. You have Ryan Stipp from the Omni Grove Park Inn, Mary Jane Wilson of Amelie's French Bakeries. And then later today, I'm speaking with Jamie Turner over at Earl's Grocery and Soul Food Sessions. So you got your work cut out for you. What are you focusing on? What are you thinking of preparing? Are you at liberty to discuss what you are going to prepare?
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, we've already had regional rounds, so everyone's cards are all on the table. So I love dessert, and so I kind of always go back to my childhood. I'm preparing a corn pudding, but not in the way that you might think. I'm doing a corn pudding dessert. It's shaped like an ear of corn. It's going to have a corn diplomat cream, a sweet corn and buttermilk cake. And then it's going to have a sweet corn that's been dehydrated. And I combine it with some Goodnight Brothers bacon fat right here from North Carolina. Ooh. And I made a streusel with that. I covered that shell in white chocolate from Videri right there in Raleigh. And then I made a conviction bourbon caramel and a salted butter ice cream using some OBX sea salt. And so for the regionals, I got a chance to showcase it in a cast iron skillet. And so I'm going to do something similar for the September 30th finale event. And I'm super excited about it. I don't think the judges were expecting it. I'm hoping that the guests aren't expecting it and just to wow some folks.
That sounds awesome. I love when somebody folds in different types of flavors of the same ingredient. Like you're doing multiple versions of the corn, folding in just to kind of extrapolate all of that flavor on top of itself. That's one of my favorite techniques. I am so excited and curious as to how that's going to taste. Talk to me a little bit about what you're doing now with Buttermilk Boutique and how, where can we find you and what does that mean?
So, like I said, right now, Buttermilk Boutique is home-based, but it has been since 2014. So I've done a lot of word of mouth up until now, just because I've always had a full-time job as a pastry chef somewhere else, like at a restaurant or at a country club. And so I do a lot of promotions on Instagram. I have a website, buttermilkboutique.com. And really what we're planning on doing now is getting ready to hopefully open up a brick and mortar in the next year, year and a half or so. My husband and I are both chefs, and we're looking to take that big leap. And so
that's cool.
Clayton, if you can hear me, we're looking for a space.
Well, Clayton's pretty cool, and it's up and coming. That's a really good spot. I bet we could help you find some people. And if you win this whole thing, you'll be the crown jewel of Clayton. So that's a pretty awesome aspect to have. I do want to add, I love the entrepreneurial aspect of home, like creating a home kitchen, home baking. We've had previous guests on the show, though, that have started their business out of their home. And that's something that's somewhat unique to North Carolina, where you are allowed to zone your home kitchen for commercial use. It's got to, be regulated, but that's fine. And it's a simple adjustment. But I love that it inspires business, it inspires creativity, and it definitely pushes forward the food movement of North Carolina. So cool that you're doing that. I'm going to have to introduce you to some cool friends of mine that will definitely help you out in that realm.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, well, we're excited. Everybody's excited to taste your food along with everybody else's. So again, for those that are planning to come, if you are trying to get a ticket, you need to go to NCRLA.com or NCRLA.org. You can Google search simply the NCRLA Chef Showdown. Tickets are available. It's Monday, September 30th. That's the day after my birthday, just so you all know, at 6 p.m. And it's at not the Angus Barn, but the Angus Barn's Bay 7 in Durham. Yep. And that is a really cool spot. It's like a mixture of classic Durham, the old Tobacco Road area, kind of mixed in with modern. It's right near the Durham Bulls Stadium. So get your tickets, check it out. You're going to drink, you're going to eat, you're going to eat sweets. It's going to be a fun time. Oh, yeah. And we'll be cheering you on, Ty. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
We are continuing our conversation about the NCRLA 2019 Chef Showdown, and with me on the phone is Chef Brandon Shepard. He's been a former guest of the show. We love having him around. Brandon, hello.
Hey, how you doing,
man? Doing great, man. Brandon, you're out there on the coast, Emerald Isle area. You own and operate Urban Street Eats food truck. You're also running the Nourish Juice Bar and Cafe out there on the coast, and then you're opening up a new barbecue place as well. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hopefully we should be open around October for that one. So we got our hands in quite a few different pots there.
Yeah, you do. So, and it's, what's it called? It's called Heritage Barbecue. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Heritage Barbecue. It's a spot we're opening up. It's kind of, I guess, if you had to name it, it'd be, I guess, international barbecue. The whole concept was kind of came up from basically tired of hearing the whole traditional, that's not barbecue, this is. And I mean, when you really look at the whole situation from around the globe, you got different areas that do barbecue, whether, it's Kahlua pork or it's, barbacoa and things like that. And we just kind of wanted to celebrate each one of those aspects. So
that's cool, man. Yeah, I think we've been talking about barbecue a lot on some recent podcasts, and I think we're starting to understand, especially in North Carolina, that we're not all just a Eastern vinegar-based barbecue place, that we're kind of expanding our horizons, which is a good thing, because we shouldn't have rules on what we're going to do. We should just be the one rule is just make it delicious, right?
Exactly.
Very cool. So, all right, so you are participating in the Chef Showdown. You've been in it a couple times, so now you've done regionals, and you passed through the regionals. It was cool. You were in town. You were looking for a place to get your hands on some deep fryers, so you were able to come over to Y Hill Kitchen, where I consult and let you get in there for the regional. So I hope that helped out.
It helped more than you would know. I mean, I guess the whole situation was kind of crazy for us. We had everything lined up, and one after another, everything just kept going wrong. I mean, guys were running out of things. We'd go pick up orders, and it was like, oh, we actually ran out. So everything was falling apart pretty much. And one of the key components of my dish was actually to fry an item, and they wouldn't let us do it on site. So I was trying to figure out different ways I can do it. And the last minute, I call you up, and thank God you said yes. I mean, it really saved us. I mean, because we literally had to go from Emerald Isle. We drove down to Joyce Farms in Winston-Salem. Then we had to head over to Burlington to Hand Pottery to go pick up our plates. And then we had to come straight to you guys and start, knocking out in the kitchen.
Oh, my God.
And thankfully, that worked out for us because, and your kitchen staff, I can't say enough about. They were amazing. They helped us out in many different ways. And it actually was the key reason we actually had something on the plate because, like I said, if it wasn't for you guys, that probably wouldn't have worked out for us.
Well, I'm glad we could help, man. That's what we try to do. We try to help out the food and beverage community in any way we possibly can, and putting some things in a deep fryer is one way, I guess. So, explain what you're going to be cooking for the finals. What's your plan?
My plan for the finals is actually a tribute dish to Leah Chase. The kind of reasons behind that was it's kind of tells not only, basically saying thanks for, everything she's done because she's been a huge pillar in the culinary industry. But by coming into my own, I had to find my own culture, my own heritage, and just try to figure out, who I was as a cook. And that was one of the key people that I actually kind of turned to and started to kind of almost develop a style. And the thing was with that, I was actually supposed to go out and fly to New Orleans to go meet her for the first time. Had it set up and everything, and of course, work gets in the way. And shortly after that, we all know she unfortunately passed away, which was a huge blow. And so it was just kind of a thank you dish. And so basically what we're doing is gumbo's a herb with fried chicken. And the reason with that is her saying was, her dining room and her kitchen kind of changed the course of America over a bowl of gumbo and fried chicken, because the Freedom Riders actually used to go out to her restaurant and they'd all get together and plan, and basically a lot of civil rights activities went down over there. And that was one of the main things they would eat while over there. So we figured a perfect tribute would probably be that. So we kind of elevated it and changed it up a little bit, but still kept the key main components. And hopefully it would, kind of do her proud.
That's cool, man. Oh, that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to try it. How long are you going to be, when are you going to get started on that roux? That's going to take a while, right? You better be starting it right now.
Yeah, well basically, the key thing for this go-around is to get everything started as soon as possible, because we have a kind of a history of, I don't know, as you can see from the last one, things kind of falling apart. So we'll definitely get on as soon as possible.
That's cool. Well, I'll let you go. We're going to get excited for everyone to compete. We look forward to trying all of your food. And if you listeners, if you guys haven't headed out to Emerald Isle, that's where you got to go. That's where you got to check out Nourish. It's a juice bar out there that you're running, and then Urban Street Eats. Give an example real quick before we go. What kind of food is on the food truck for Urban Street Eats? What are you putting out?
The food truck is international street food. That's kind of been a big thing for us. So, you can get anything from banh mi sandwiches to Cuban sandwiches. We have Korean barbecue tacos, jerk chicken tacos. We have different kind of rice balls with pork belly and just almost anything you can think of.
That sounds awesome. Well, very cool, man. Chef, always good to hear from you. And wish you good luck. We'll see how you fare in the competition. For those that want to go, keep in mind it's September 30th from 6 to 9 in Durham. It's at Bay 7, Angus Barnes, Bay 7. Don't go to Angus Barn, go to Durham, or else you'll be standing around. No one will be there. So, but we'll see everybody there September 30th. Take care. And all right, man. So we're out. I'll talk with you soon. And I guess I'll just see you at the competition.
All right, yes, sir. I appreciate it, man.
And this is going to be edited and put out this Thursday, just so you know. So I'll tag you in some stuff. But,
all right, appreciate that.
Cool, man. Talk to you soon.
All right, later.
Hello, everyone. We are back. This is once again Max Trujillo, and I have the pleasure of speaking to Amanda Ezzell from Ezell's Catering in Warsaw, North Carolina. First off, Amanda, where the heck is Warsaw, North Carolina?
So the best way for me to explain where we are located, we're an hour from every major city east of Raleigh. So we're halfway between Raleigh and Wilmington, 45 minutes from Goldsboro, 45 minutes to an hour from Jacksonville, an hour from Fayetteville. We're kind of right in the middle of all the major cities.
Yeah, so you're a little south of Raleigh. And
correct.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, very cool. So you were in the Chef Showdown for 2019, the NCRLA, and you won your regionals, and now you're going to be in the finals, which are on September 30th at Bay 7, which is an Angus Barn location in Durham. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing. You're the chef at a catering company, but what does that mean? What kind of food do you typically like to cook?
I am the chef at a catering company, Ezzell LLC, and we also have a food truck. I would probably say that our food is Southern American, but we do venture out sometimes. We'll get phone calls for more international style foods, and I will dabble in a few different styles of cooking. When I was in culinary school, I did more of the French style cooking, so I know a lot about sauces and herbs and flavorings and how to pair things. But growing up in the South with my grandmother, who was a mother of 9, and having the opportunity to work in the kitchen with her and learn about Southern cooking and feeding large crowds, I just kind of fell in love with the Southern way. And I try to keep my food true to my roots. And the reason why we named our food truck Something Good is because when you talk about wanting to go out to eat, most of the time you say, I just want something good to eat.
Right.
Unless you've really got a hankering for something in particular, you just want a good meal. And we try to meet up to that expectation, our diners and our catering clients.
Yeah. So what's something good you're about to prepare for us at the event?
At the NCRLA Showdown, because I'm down here in Muscadine country, we're close to Zeppelin Winery. I actually worked there for a year out of culinary school. I decided that I wanted to feature Muscadine grapes, and because pimento cheese is definitely a Southern staple, I have decided to pair the muscadines with the pimento cheese and candied peppers. So I'm actually making a candied pepper and muscadine pimento cheese, and I'm going to serve it on a Southern fried lacy cornbread. So it's not a cake cornbread, but it is a cornmeal mixture that is mixed with water and then is fried in super hot grease in a cast iron skillet. So the edges of the cornbread get crunchy and lacy, almost like a doily, and the inside has more substance to it, so it's thicker and a little bit more tender.
Wow, I can't imagine a more North Carolina type of dish than cornbread with muscadines and pimento cheese. It's like you literally embodied the entire state in one bite.
Well, I hope we did. I wanted to do something that was familiar to people who would be attending the showdown, and something that would keep it true to my roots, and be Southern through and through.
That's really cool. Well, I look forward to tasting it. Yeah, and we're going to be trying cocktails. We're going to be trying desserts. We're going to be trying, obviously, all the savory dishes. It's going to be a good time. I once was a contestant in the bar category. I did not win, but that's fine. I'm not bitter. Not bitter at all. I don't talk about it all the time.
Right. You have the experience of being there and the opportunity to step up your game, interacting with the others that were there preparing their cocktails. So that's kind of what I've looked forward to and enjoyed about this. I've had the opportunity to think outside of the box and think, how can I up what I do to be able to compete with those around me?
Yeah. Well,
it's just been fun.
It's exciting. Well, I look forward to tasting your food and seeing you there along with everybody else. Anyhow, Amanda, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it as well.
All right, take care.
Last but not least, we have Jamie Turner, the pastry chef at Earl's Grocery in Charlotte and Soul Food Sessions. It looks like you are driving right now. What's going on?
Oh yeah, I'm a passenger in the car. Me and my partner, Chef Michael Bowling, we on our way to cook at the Beard House on Friday the 13th.
Oh, no way. Ooh, spooky. That sounds awesome. At the Beard House?
Yeah.
That's so cool. The James Beard House, of course, everybody, up there in New York. So you've got a pretty good drive to go.
Yeah. We're in Virginia right now.
Oh my gosh. That's super exciting. Have you cooked at the Beard House before?
No, this will be my first time. And with our group, Soul Food Sessions, I believe it's all of our first time.
Wow. Now, I've never cooked there, nor do I expect anyone to invite me to cook there, but I've heard tale that it is a super tiny kitchen and you got to make do with some cramped quarters.
Yes. I've heard from other colleagues in the industry that, I've seen pictures of the workspace. So I dropped a couple pounds so that I can.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully you can pack on the pounds with some really good food there too, because man,
definitely.
I just want to be an employee of the James Beard House just so I can sit in my from my desk and just let chefs come to me from all over the land and cook. That sounds ideal.
That does, doesn't it, though? It really does.
Well, I'm glad that you're on the phone. You are the last person I'm going to interview before tomorrow's episode goes out. It's about 3 o'clock on a Wednesday. If anyone's listening to the show right now, I'm releasing it Thursday morning. So this is you are the last contestant, at least on the show, though there are many other people that I didn't get to. Just as I was kind of kidding around, it would be like a Joe Rogan 3-hour podcast if I interviewed everyone. So consider yourself lucky. No.
I do.
I did kind of just select a few people that, not for any preferential treatment or anything. I just thought, I would love to know what makes them tick or what they're doing. So, Jamie, you were somebody that I was very interested in speaking with. So you do cook at Earl's Grocery as well. Is that correct? Out in Charlotte?
Yep. I've been there for about 1.5 years now.
So did you have the pleasure of working with Mark Jacksina?
Yes, of course. Mark Jacksina.
Yeah, obviously.
That guy.
Previous guest of the show. He obviously is the host of Order Fire out in Charlotte and does an excellent job out there. One of the storytellers of the food and beverage industry. So we love me some Mark Jacksina as well. I imagine that must have been interesting working with that guy.
It was actually an awakening to what kitchen culture and conversation could really be. It was the first kitchen where we were able to have talks about race and politics and all the things you're not supposed to talk about, but we all on a totally human level were able to grow from the conversations having.
That's cool.
And Mark Jackson would be the ringleader and the conversation starter, and it was just amazing working with him for about a year.
No wonder why he does such an excellent job. If anybody hasn't listened or actually watched Order Fire, check it out because I think it's orderfire.com, or at least just Google search Order Fire Charlotte. There are some great videos of chef stories, everybody doing some excellent work in North Carolina. So, but I digress. Let's talk about the Chef Showdown. You are, I mean, look at you. You're doing everything right now. You're going to James Beard's, then you're going to come back on September 30th to compete in Durham with the NCRLA. So, how did you get connected? Why are you in the event?
Well, it's actually kind of a cool story. This year has been like an awesome year, just with events that I'm working at Earl's, but I'm also part of Soul Food Sessions. And so being a part of Soul Food Sessions, I get to be a part of a lot of cool events.
Yeah, what is Soul Food Sessions?
Well, Soul Food Sessions is a collaborative group of African-American chefs that got together about 2.5 years ago now. And we did our first dinner. We did it. We just wanted to get together, do a dinner for charity, and highlight minorities in the industry, right?
Yeah.
So that it wasn't just the same tattooed, bearded chef that you see on all the covers. We wanted to do a dinner, give all the money to charity, but just highlight that we're here in the industry. So that turned into many, many events later, now going to the Beard House. So that's what Soul Food Sessions is. And it was actually on 2 separate events. I did Sensoria as well as the PCG Symposium lunch, where I hand rolled my own puff pastry that day. I hand laminated my own puff pastry that day.
Oh,
and
wow.
Heidi came up to me and she was just like, "Have you seen this flyer?" Like, and she just was like, "You gotta apply." And that's how I ended up in the competition, just by connecting with Heidi in 2 events that I got to do.
That's really cool. I assume Greg Collier is a part of all of this?
Greg Collier is one of the founding members, yes.
So were you on that famed Instagram post he put up where everybody jumped in, where he was talking about what's the difference between Southern food and soul food? He tagged a bunch of chefs on there. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it started quite a great conversation and a ton of different points of view. I guess whether you were on it or not, what's your take? What is the difference between Southern food and soul food?
Well,
I can see you, Anna. You're looking over to your left for assistance over there. You can say whatever you want. How about this? How about I could start, because I have an opinion on this.
Okay.
And somebody said to me that I was being almost not necessarily racist, but bringing up race too much. And this is my take. I said I believe Southern food is food cooked in the South that comes so it's, for one, it's regional. For two, it is food that is represented by multiple cultures that have been passed down through generations that could be cooked by any person living in the South. Conversely, I believe soul food is African American. I think that it's food that has been of African American roots, and not preferably, I think it actually has to be cooked by an African American person. And I think that that's the idea of soul food. I don't know if you agree or not.
I mean, I'm along the same lines as you. For me, I kind of have to answer it coming from personally from me for when I think of soul food, I think of taking it back to your heritage, right? And so Southern heritage versus the typical, or not typical, because we're surpassing the typical with soul food sessions, but basically going deeper. One of our dinners was the diaspora, literally going all the way back to Africa, bringing those elements into our dishes. So when I think of soul food, it's incorporating your soul, not a pun intended, because you're going deeper and deeper into roots. So there's not those roots as deep in. So I think soul food takes Southern food that much deeper, because you can take the roots back all the way to Africa.
Well, and I think, with that same story, I've had Oscar Diaz. He's a fellow, he's a semifinalist in the James Beard Awards, but he's of Mexican descent. And even I am of part Mexican descent as well. And you could be a Latino, whether you're from Cuba or Puerto Rico, Mexico, wherever, South America, that has deep, long roots of living in the South and cook. And so your version of Southern food is your version, but there's so many different ethnicities that make up the South. But of course, the big ones that come to mind, it's usually white and black. And it's like, that's kind of the parallel, but there's so many different things happening here. I think it would be odd if Oscar or myself would start cooking and we're like, yeah, I'm doing soul food. It's like, I think that would be weird. I think that you can be an excellent chef from the South, cooking the exact same collard greens and fried chicken and whatever you want, grits, but you would just call it Southern food.
I agree. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Totally. I feel you.
Plus, also, like if you were a chef that, like, let's take you for instance, of African American descent, if you started cooking Chinese food. And if there was a word, and maybe there is in the Chinese culture, that means food from the soul of Chinese descent, and you started saying that was the food that you made, I think Chinese people would go, "Hey, man, no."
Hold on a minute there.
It's like, no, you're just cooking old Chinese food, and you could be cooking it great, and it might taste just as good as their grandmothers would have done, but it's still not from the perspective of what. Maybe you should be referencing.
Absolutely. And just to go back to something that you said, that it was an interesting conversation that sparked different sides of the coin and different sides of the conversation. That's what Soul Food Sessions is all about. It's a family style seating. So you're meeting people that you might never meet, and we're starting. Even when we did Coca-Cola sponsored us, we went on a 3-city tour, we had table talkers like that would prompt conversation pieces just like that, where you can have a meal, enjoy a great meal, great music, great atmosphere by these African-American chefs, and then boom, you can have these conversations. I think these conversations are so important to have. And you know what? It's okay to not always have the right answer and not always agree. Like, you know what I mean? So it's important. It's going to move us forward.
I think we're all over woke. It's like we're too woke. And it's like, maybe we should just be really cool with each other and just say exactly what we mean in the most respectful manner, of course, if possible, without making complete generalizations, but be able to just speak. And your opinion matters. And even if your opinion doesn't get shared by everybody else's, at least it's being heard. I think that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's cool.
I agree.
Well, hey, so moving on, let's talk about the showdown. Let's talk about what you're cooking, because I didn't mention at the top, you are a pastry chef. So you're bringing the sweets.
I'm bringing the sweets. I'm bringing the sweets and the brown butter.
Oh.
Yeah.
No. So what are you making?
So I made a apple and pear upside down brown butter bun. Now it's a mouthful. Something that, I've never really seen in any other book. It's like my brainchild. I'm really excited about it. And I paired it with sweet corn ice cream, a white chocolate and popcorn shoot crumble, a pear gastrique, and as well as a honey pecan orange tuile.
That sounds amazing.
Oh, thank you. It's really cool. So what I did is I actually used a spiced donut dough. Mace is the main spice in it. Mm-hmm. So it's like this really homey feeling because, mace is actually the main flavor component in animal crackers. And that's what gives it that flavor that is just like really interesting. And like, you're like, what is that flavor, Yeah. So it's spiced donut dough and it's baked upside down with the brown sugar and the apples and pears at the bottom. So it's 5 little donut holes baked together. And when you flip it out, the apples and pears are all caramelized with the brown butter and brown sugar. But it's like a little pull apart. So that's what that fun is.
That sounds awesome. Well, I'm super excited to try your food, to try everyone's food, to just have a night off of not cooking myself and just eating some delicious food. You have fun while you're up there. I'll let you go so you can get back focusing on the road. You got to be the good navigator. Watch for radar. Watch for cops. Watch for speed traps.
Right.
Keep in mind, you're in Virginia. They love to give out speeding tickets. I just paid one online.
No, we're not supposed to talk about that, but thank you.
But all right, well, we will see you soon. Be safe. We'll have to check your Instagram out. Give us a shout what your Instagram is so we can see you cooking from the James Beard house.
Okay, so my Instagram is Jamie's Cakes and Classes, and there's an underscore after each word.
Jamie's _cakes _ classes. All right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you soon, and take care.
Thank you. That's just so much fun.
Yeah,
Bye.
that was great. See you later. Bye. Well, everybody, that's the show for this week. Thank you all for listening. Keep in mind that the Chef Showdown is going to have many more chefs, bartenders, pastry chefs that aren't on today's episode. It would be like a Joe Rogan episode if we interviewed all of them all, because it's quite a bit. But that also means that the event is going to be amazing and filled with so much food and beverage, sweets. Oh my God. So please join us. You can get tickets by clicking the link on this episode, go to the show notes, or find the link on our Instagram by following us at NCFB Pod. And stay tuned next week when we interview Thomas Cuomo, the head chef and owner of Papa Shogun, which just opened up out here in Raleigh. It's very interesting. It's very cool. And Tom himself is a contestant at the Chef Showdown. On behalf of my co-host Matthew Weiss, eat and drink merrily.
Thanks for listening to the NC F&B podcast. And if you've stuck with us this long, review us on iTunes, and remember, 5 stars are encouraged.